Hey, Christine, how are you?
Hi, Adam. How are you? I'm so excited to be here.
Well, I'm so excited to have you here. I just want to say apologies to you, Christine, and apologies to the guys watching because I just had a couple of technical hiccups. But we're here anyway. I'm really pleased this week because Christine is looking beautiful and clear, and all that lovely feedback I've had from people that after our best interests here at Wine and Design on a Friday, hopefully we have a clearer picture. And I think your audio is pretty good too, Christine.
Yeah, testing,
Audio's
testing.
good. So maybe if anyone's there watching, they can tell us if we're sounding and looking good. So how's
Okay.
your week been, Christine?
It's been so good. It's been a really busy week, which is, yeah, always makes the week go faster, doesn't it? And then wedding planning on top of all of that. So, yeah, it's been
Wedding
good.
planning.
Yeah. So I'm getting married in 2 weeks.
Oh, wow. How did I not know that?
I don't know.
Well, congratulations in advance. It sounds fabulous. Have you got your dress? Of course, you've got your
I
dress
do.
picked
I
out.
do. And I look amazing. I think I'm going to get
You
lucky
look
on the night. I'm just
amazing.
saying.
I love hearing that. Because getting a wedding dress and looking your best for your big day isn't that sort of just absolutely unnerving for most women? I'm not a woman and I've
Maybe.
never been married, so
No, it was pretty
that's
easy
just
for
what I
me.
said.
I went by myself, and that way I didn't have any voices in my head, or voices in my ear saying, "Oh no, this, that, and whatever." And I just had my own opinion to deal with, and I was like, two dresses, and I found the one.
Oh, cool. That's
Yeah, so it
great.
went
I
really
love
well.
that. So I guess we better better sort of introduce ourselves. So, hi guys, my name's Adam Scoogle. I'm just checking to see, Christine, if we're actually live. Oh, we are
Yeah,
live.
we are. Oh,
Cool.
excellent.
Yeah, we're live. We're live. We're live.
'Cause I'm-
Live.
yeah, excellent.
So, I'm Adam Scoogle. I create, and I hope this doesn't sound salesy, beautifully unique homes for people that are staying put, which is really just saying that I love designing homes for people that don't want to move in the next 10 minutes and are going to do whatever they want and just enjoy living in it. So, Christine, I would love for you to tell us about you
Yeah, of
and
course.
about your business before we talk about kitchens today. So, over to you. Oh, I've got to, before I do over to you,
Oh,
just reaching here.
yes. Cheers. Oh, there we
Oh,
go.
hang on, hang on, hang on. Someone said, did you gulp it last week? So I've got to do this really
Yeah, culprits.
professionally
Swirl it.
and
Swirl.
softly. Oh, I didn't swirl. You've
Anyway,
got one right. Anyway, over to you.
so I'm
Happy
Christine
Friday.
Gracie. I am an interior designer with a degree in interior architecture. So technically, I am an interior architect.
Wow.
I specialize in kitchen design and design for hospitality venues.
Mm,
So that's what I'm good at, and that's what I provide to the people that I work with.
fantastic. So, how long have you, Christine, how long have you been running? So, is it one times one
No, so
interiors?
the one by one.
One by
Yeah,
one
no,
interior.
everybody gets that mixed up. I get 1X1. Should have picked an easier name.
Yeah, no, I think it's cool. And I love your branding as well,
Oh, thank
that you
you.
put together. It's really funky. So,
Yeah, no,
how long have you been one, one by one?
yeah, one by one.
One
Yeah,
by
so
one.
I've been one by one for 3 years now. So it'll be 4 years in October. And then I've been working as a designer for almost 10 years now, which is kind of scary to say. Like where'd that 10 years go? But yeah, that's how long I've been in the game
Fantastic.
for.
You don't look old enough to be in business, working for 10 years.
I know. Well, I'm 30, which surprises some people.
Are you?
I am, yeah.
You
People are
look,
surprised.
yeah. I'm
People are
surprised.
people are surprised to know that I have an 8-year-old.
Do you?
Yeah, that's how old Jocelyn is. She's 8.
8. You've
Yeah,
got three,
I
haven't you?
do. I do have
Right.
3. Yeah. So Jocelyn is 8, and then the boys
Yeah.
are 2 and 3.
Yeah. And
So
I've
they keep me on my toes.
did I meet the boys? I met both the boys when they
Yeah,
were
yesterday. Yeah,
causing
when we
some
did our little
emotion.
test when we did our little test run yesterday, you got to meet the boys, and then Jocelyn was the one earlier when we did our second test run.
She's so cute.
She is. She's a mini me.
She's a mini you, and I said she was really polite. So she must be learning it all from Mum, Miss Polite.
Yeah, sometimes.
She's gorgeous. So I guess we should talk about, well, I asked you, Christine, to sort of cut the mustard over kitchens today. So I'm thinking we've got some fun questions, and I'm just keen to really know. We've got a few questions. I think it's great. Let's just sort of talk about kitchens and what we're seeing in 2019, what you'd like to see. But first question is probably, what's kind of the worst kitchen you've ever encountered?
Oh, there's a lot. There really is a lot of different kitchens I've seen over the years. Probably a good one, and one that's been very common, has been the lime green bench tops with the fake timber panelled doors. So 80s, why did you go and do that? Because there's quite a few kitchens around the Central West that have that lovely aesthetic, if that's the right word. And then one of the things I've actually seen come out over the past year or so, which is incredibly unnerving, has people, going back a step, if you go to Kmart, you can get marble contact for school books. And people have been using that on their bench tops. And it's, I don't even have words.
Have you seen that? Have you seen that applied?
I have.
With a sense of purpose recently?
Yes. Yeah, I have seen it applied. I'm a part of a couple of Facebook groups that are dedicated to all things Kmart, and a couple of people have done that, and it's just, nah.
Wow, I'm kind of like thinking, who would deliberately go ahead and do that? And I just want to apologise now to anybody who's doing that and thinks it's great. But we probably want to up the ante, I guess.
Well, the thing is, it's not only unattractive, but it's a health issue as well, because it's not a surface that's supposed to be cut on or cooked on or cleaned in with water. So bacteria can get under that and, just cause all sorts of issues.
That's DIY with an exclamation point. So, wow. Yeah. Okay, so people are doing that. So that's I would say that's the ultimate in economics in terms of keeping benchtop prices low. But yes, definitely. That's not something I would have thought that to even consider using. So that's interesting that you're seeing people using that. So we're talking about the worst kitchens. What I guess the next one would be, what's the most challenging situation you've had in terms of the most challenging kitchen layout, or things you've seen that you really have you sort of thinking, how am I going to deal with this? What are some creative ways I'm going to change this into something that's really desirable? Yeah,
well, one of the issues that you tend to run into with kitchens is plumbing, especially if someone's got on a house that's got a slab underneath it. Can be quite difficult to move the plumbing and put it in a more efficient location, because it does require things like drilling into the slab to get the pipes to where they need to go, and obviously that's something that adds to the cost, which if they're prepared to pay an extra $5,000 or $10,000, then that's going to get them the most bang for their buck, is having the functionality of the kitchen there.
Yeah. Do you find, is that a challenge, Christine, for you, just in terms of the expectation or the kind of not really realising the implications, especially with kitchens, of the cost if you do anything besides the bare minimum?
Most definitely. I think, well, there's some people that have a really great expectation of what a reasonable budget is. Like a client I had previously, she had a really healthy budget, and it was amazing to work with her because she just knew what she was talking about, I guess. But then there's other people which, bless them, they don't know any better, and I guess have unrealistic expectations. And when I deal with a client and they say, okay, this is my budget, I'm not going to kiss their bum and say, yeah, we can make it happen. I'm going to be upfront and say, look, it can't work. Unless you want to go to IKEA, then more than welcome. But if you'd like to have a really high quality product, then we need to talk a little bit more about upping that budget a bit.
Yeah, I mean, I've got to admit, Christine, that I find it the kitchens are the most expensive, probably outgoing, and probably the most confusing to people up front. I mean, I know that you and I have the same question that we need to ask, and you just talked about budget. But I find it's the most difficult thing, and I can understand people not really understanding the extent of what it does cost to renovate a kitchen properly and beautifully. But I find it's the most confusing part for clients generally in terms of cost, and the most surprising at the end when you get the bill for this, and that.
Yeah, but what people need to understand is that kitchens sell houses, and there's a reason for that, because they cost a hell of a lot of money.
That's so true. Yeah. I mean, kitchens sell houses. I think you're right. I mean, you put the money into the kitchen, and if you're thoughtful about what you're doing in terms of choices, and we'll get into storage solutions. I'm interested to know about various things in terms of how you design and things that you're looking at in 2019, for example. But I think that you've got such a good point that if you do put the investment in the kitchen, even if you are moving out in 5 to 7 years, it's not going to be a loss, is it? If you're pumping that money into something that it is true, isn't it?
Exactly. You have to spend a hell of a lot of money on a kitchen to overinvest.
Exactly. So, yeah, interesting topic, because, it's a real pain point, isn't it? For, at the end of the day, it's the dollars, but is it worth making that investment? Is it the one thing in your home that you should be spending the biggest amount of bucks on?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. You're right. And people can, it comes down to, if someone wants to do an entire house, for example, then maybe save a little bit on the furniture, because yes, you can take it with you, but you can then spend those extra funds in that thing that's going to sell your property, if that's what you're wanting to do. Like a kitchen that we recently completed, that was a forever house for them. So they weren't too concerned about over investing, because they're going to be there for the next 30 years. And they wanted what they wanted, and they want to be comfortable in that space, and be it a space that their family can grow with. And then there's other options as well for someone who is, say, doing an in-between house, someone who's going to be living in a property for the next 5-6 years, that you can put certain constraints on the budget and not blow it, so that you can get that return on investment.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was just reading that comment from my owner.
Yeah. Oh, Anna, I couldn't help it to, it's just funny. That was such a funny intro, Christine, because, and Owana was saying marble contact should be just for that, to contact books.
Yeah,
so really absolutely should. But you know what, it's such a, like, you are so right. Like, the last thing that a lot of people want to do is come in and think, oh God, I've got, how much it's going to cost me to renovate this kitchen. We like the home, but do we really, how much do we need to then invest on top of our investment in purchasing now to renovate a kitchen? And then, of course, if they're not, and this is totally understandable, if they don't have a design eye, it's also the stress of trying to put something together that's cohesive and works with the rest of the home, if the kitchen's dated and does need that money pumped into it. So it's not only the anomaly of not knowing how much you're going to need to spend, but now I have to design it, I have to get people in, I have to know that the kitchen's going to work if it's an open plan cohesively with the rest, and what are the things I need to consider, and da 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 da. So that's a really good point. I think is that the investment's absolutely worth it. You know what I loved?
But I think on the other hand, if someone is actually looking for an investment property that can be a fixer-upper, then the kitchen, I guess, doesn't so much matter, but the overall price of the house is going to, what they're going to want to offer for that property is going to be less than expected, because obviously if it's a fixer-upper, they want to make money on it. Most people are buying a house for them.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does make sense. Michelle's just saying hi, Adam and Iwana, and of course she's saying hi, Christine.
Yeah.
That's true. I mean, there's a couple of different angles there that are really important to think about, you know, in terms of both those scenarios, forever home and then the fixer-upper. Both times, though, some sort of reasonable standards expected when you're talking about a kitchen. What about your forever home that you've just done? You just spoke about designing or forever kitchen, whatever. But I know you have a project recently which is really beautiful. But when you talk about it, this is a forever home, and you're designing a forever kitchen. Yeah. What are the things that are forever to a client in the position when it comes to kitchen?
Well, that's the thing. I guess when you look at the bare bones of a kitchen, without looking at the aesthetics of it, one of the things to consider really is the hardware, whether the drawer runners are going to break in 12 months' time or whether they're going to last for as long as you need them to, which is something that people don't often think about because it's not something that you can actually see. But it does make such a big difference to the functionality of the kitchen. And hi, Michelle, and it does make such a big difference to the functionality of the kitchen. Same with soft closed drawers, and just different things like that. I guess,
Christine, you're talking about internal hardware, aren't you?
I'm talking about internal hardware. I'm talking about the runners, like the drawers run on. So sorry, I just went off on a tangent. I'm talking about the hardware that connects the drawer to the cabinet. So that's something that can really make a difference to the kitchen and how it functions, and not having to spend another however much money down the track to have things fixed because drawers are banging into them, banging into each other and scratching and chipping and whatever else. And I guess with this particular family, it was all about maintaining the need for future growth. This family had 3 young boys, so eventually those boys are going to be teenagers, and teenage boys have hollow legs, so they just do not stop aging. And so storage was a really big thing. Her previous kitchen had no storage, and a big pantry was something that was also really crucial. And she was a really big lover of baking and cookies and cakes and things like that. So we provided a lot of bench space, and the island we actually left clear. Like in some instances, people will put a sink on their island, but in this case, because she does have such a big love of baking, that space was left clear to allow it to be a prep space.
Right. So really smart use of the design is really bespoke to the client and their needs.
Yeah, exactly.
In that situation. So it's storage. It's doing something bespoke, like you just said, Christine. What else is kind of forever? Is the standard of the finishes?
Yeah, I think aesthetics are forever. There's certain styles that are timeless and that will last for quite a long time. Like you look through realestate.com, for example, and you can see some of those old horrible kitchens that they were doing in the 80s and 90s, and it's just why and then there's certain kitchens that will have a timeless appeal, and it's tried and tested sort of styles that we know will work. And the thing that you really want to avoid is trends, because trends come and go. Like look, when everyone was doing chevron 5 years ago, and chevron is 2015.
What did you say?
So 2015.
So 2015, yeah, 5 years ago. 5 years
Yeah,
ago. But we're in 2009. Hang on.
19.
You, you know, I'm
Yeah.
not good at maths.
Where are you?
It's that wine. But you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's the funny thing. Do you ever get a client saying what's trendy when
Yeah.
you're doing a kitchen? You do?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. No, you do get everyone wants to know what's hot right now.
Yeah.
And I do a blog post on my website every year saying these are the trends for 2018, 2019, 2020. But I do tend to specify in when I'm writing that article that these are the trends that we've seen continuing over the last so many years, and these are the ones that are not going to stick around. And I think that's the one thing to consider. Yes, you can go for trends, and some of them are going to be lifelong. Some of them are just you just need to ignore. And that's the other thing. Some people do want to stick with their trends and bring your trends into your soft furnishings. Bring your trends into your decor, because that's stuff that can be easily swapped out. That's maybe a few $100s that you've spent there rather than $50,000 on a new kitchen.
Absolutely. That's so important. Spend it on the soft furnishings. Don't make the huge trend mistake.
Don't make it a massive investment that you're just going to regret.
Yeah, in the kitchen. So, do you ever think you're talking about storage, and storage is? I mean, everyone talks about storage, don't they? It's got to have a lot of storage. Do you ever feel like there can be? I've got sort of two thoughts on. I'm interested in your thought, Christine, on this. Do you think there can ever be too much storage in a kitchen for storage sake, or is it kind of?
No, I don't think there can be too much storage. I think storage is only a good thing, but it depends on how it's implemented. Like if it's obvious storage, then it's just going to look like you're walking through a American high school full of locker rooms.
Yeah.
I think it just needs to be done in a manner that's considered. And I guess that's where working with someone like myself really works, because every inch is considered.
That's interesting, because every inch is considered. I mean, I think, do we really need so many upper cabinets right up to the ceiling filled with, potentially it could be some blender that, that you got a new one, but you'll keep the old one for a second. And that's up in the left-hand corner with, some old Rubik's Cube, and then books.
Yeah.
And your cookbooks from that time that they did that green benchtop 1988. Yeah. I'm kind of, I don't know, I totally get you, and I think, you're really going against the grain of clients' needs if you say, well, we're going to really pull back rather than give you optimal. But I just kind of think, do we sometimes probably give ourselves too much rope to store things away that we don't even know exist up in these cabinets?
Yeah, to have too much junk. We need to Marie Kondo.
Yeah, and you've got that Forever Home that you were talking about. Is that your silver? It's called
Silver Down. It is, yeah.
Silver Down project. One thing I noticed about that, Christine, is you did have a combination of
combination of colours. Yes,
and open and closed shelves in the top.
Yes. Yeah, we had open shelves. Just because it was a really simple kitchen, so shaker cabinets that were all just in a matte white. That open shelving was just for those really key pieces, just like vases and cookbooks, and just to give it a bit of life and a bit of personality.
Yeah, and also the handles too used were really quite timeless.
Yeah, really the handles are really gorgeous. So they were from Hepburn Hardware. And so like the shaker cabinets that have that beveled edge in them, the handles also have that beveling on them, which so they really complement each other.
Right, yeah. And also the pendants were really key too in that project, weren't they? Just to have that drama moment of those three pendants there for that really sophisticated, so sort of transitional to me. To me it was a really nice example of sort of going halfway in between that traditional with the shakers to keeping it modern and chic, and everything from, I think, the cooktop that you whether it was specified by the client or you sort of had the combination of clean lines, didn't you, and keep it a little bit traditional and stylish. So if anyone wants to have a look at that project, it's a lovely project on Christine's website.
We'll link it in the comments.
It's a lovely simple kitchen. It's beautiful, and I love the
So everything apart from the ovens and the fridge was specified by myself. But she didn't go too far left of field from what I specified. It was something, I think it was just the model down.
What about the colour? The colour of
so we did the contrasting colour.
What was that?
The black is Domino by Dulux. So it's one of my favourite blacks. It's this really gorgeous charcoal colour.
Oh, yum. I love that. I thought you were going to say blue, sort of dark navy blue, but because of the photographs. But it was Domino. That's so cool.
Yeah.
I love that. So it's a beautiful charcoal. Was that in a matte finish?
It was. The whole kitchen was matte. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I'm really not a fan of gloss kitchens. I think the fingerprints and I think, it's just a bit too disco ball.
Especially with having kids, which is, you've got that experience firsthand, is fingerprints.
Yeah, exactly. And that's one of the things with functionality is functions first in design, which is what's something a lot of people really don't understand, is that it's not just all fluffing and pillows and making things pretty. It's about making things functional. And, and I guess going back to too much storage, I think it might be a city versus country thing, because in the country it's people just love their storage, whereas in the city I guess you're dealing in more confined spaces, so you need to make use of everything that you've got.
Interesting. Why do you think they're in the country though? So is that because they've got to keep everything stacked up and they mightn't get away for long periods of a time to leave where they are and go to, some of these places of properties people live on that might take them an hour and a half to get to, a shopping centre or something to sometimes even to get to a local sort of big grocery store. So maybe. Oh,
it could be. Although, I think it's just I think we're just dealing with more square meters out here. I haven't really dealt with a lot of clients that are really out in the sticks and are really far away from any sort of amenities. But I think it's just that it's just a matter of the space that we have out here, and that the dollar does go a bit further as far as how much room you can have.
Because you're just saying out here, so maybe some people don't know where you are.
Yeah, so I'm in Orange. So about 3.5 hours from Sydney. So we are probably 95% houses out here, in comparison to somewhere like Sydney, which is in the CBD, which is primarily apartments, which is smaller spaces.
Exactly. So Orange, is that how long did it take me to get to Orange from centre of Sydney? I'm just trying to think.
From the centre of Sydney, probably take you a good 4 hours.
Wow,
4.5 hours. Yeah.
Okay. So it's all about storage and space, storage in the kitchen. What about countertops, Christine?
Yeah.
What do you go to? Are you a Caesar stone gal? I
tend to go for Caesar stone. For that particular family, for that Silverdown house, we did do Caesar stone bench tops because kids are what's the word I'm looking for? Clumsy. And it doesn't tend to stain, it doesn't tend to scratch. Whereas if marble is absolutely beautiful to deal with, you spill something on it, because marble is a porous material. It will suck in anything that is spilled on it, unless you deal with it pretty much right away.
Yeah, that's true, isn't it? In terms of, so Caesar stone is sort of a happy medium, isn't it? It's not. It's a quality finish without it being crazy expensive. Marble is a different kettle of fish. While we're just talking about, the dollar value, and we kicked off with talking about sort of, I think, just the lack of awareness about the cost of once we layer upon this and that, and we really want that fridge that is 12 grand or or even more, and we want this and we want that, but then we hit with the fee. What do you think, if you sort of, I guess if you're putting together a kitchen, Christine, and you sort of, maybe if you finish up with your quote and you realise that you are just majorly over what you can afford, where do you think you should keep the dollars in certain areas and you can move out some money?
Yeah, I think bench tops is definitely one to consider. Marble versus Caesar stone, you'd actually be surprised that the base price is very comparable. However, where marble gets expensive is that you have to buy the entire slab. You can't just buy what you need. You need to buy the 3x2 slab, which where it gets expensive because it is a natural product. You can't just pick and choose what you want. The other thing to consider is the door profile of your kitchen. So things like a beveled edge kitchen, which we did in our Silverdown house, that's going to run into the more expensive category than, say, your flat panel kitchen. What else? Things like your sinks, your tapware. If you're on a budget, then certainly your hardware can, not your drawer runners, because I always recommend that you go for the high-end drawer runners.
Yes.
But things like your handles and your tapware, they're things that can be saved on, but can also be changed out quite quickly. So you do it cheap now, and then 5 years down the track, you switch out for what you really want, which is a good way to save money.
Good point. So there's a couple of key things, and I'm just looking at the time where we're
over time.
We start late, so that's fine. But so just to recap some really good points there, Christine. I think anybody who's has really limited knowledge of what they should be looking out for, whether they're working with a designer, having that expertise to manage that process and design, with experience, or they're looking at going it alone. You've said some things that I think are really key. To me, it's about the internal mechanisms, not to try and scrimp on those, because the integrity of the kitchen in terms of its wear and tear is going to be poor. Would you recommend a particular, for people that are renovating, a particular internal system that you have used that you like, a brand name, for example?
Yeah, Bloom are really good. So BLUM. But it really depends on I guess the size of the drawers and the whether you're doing doors versus drawers, because you can do drawers that are 200 mil deep, and then you can do drawers that are 400 mil deep and even deeper than that. So the depth of the drawer and how much weight it physically needs to hold once it's full of pots and pans is something that really needs to be considered as well. Right,
good point. So okay, so I thought it was Bloom.
Bloom could be
Bloom,
I don't know.
So that's a good go-to, BLUM, in terms of the internals, and that's key. If we want a good quality top, I think we'll stay away from the contact.
Yes, please.
Caesar stone's a great option.
Yeah.
And just interesting. I think just some of your feedback on storage ideas and keeping it timeless. If anyone, and we'll put the details in the notes, if anyone would like to go and have a look at Christine's project, which is a Silverdown project, because a lovely, what I call a transitional kitchen. It's sort of in between modern and traditional, and it's just a really pretty clean take, with obviously beautifully put together for your forever client, forever home for your client. That's hopefully a very lovely client to work with. But I think do you have anything else you want to say, Christine, in terms of anything you'd like to leave with? We'll put your contact details, definitely, especially too if anyone's in your area. I think definitely be calling Christine. Orange, so 4 hours from Sydney, but fantastic. Good to hear your perspective too, and just the reality of what people in a country area really value when you're purchasing these properties, and you have to think of the storage as first and foremost. Probably not so much in a kitchen as much as everywhere else in the home, or as a kitchen, as you need storage in a kitchen. But anyway, so I would like to thank you very much for coming on the show, for being my third
Thank you
guest.
for having me.
And I think you look fantastic. We've got a clear screen. We've got great audio, and I think we're cooking with gas from here on in. Thank you to everyone that commented. Have you got much planned for the weekend, Christine? I'm sure you've got kids stuff.
I have a wheel alignment tomorrow. Lots of fun.
Wheel alignment. Okay, and then the
Yeah,
wedding
on my
is in
car.
2 weeks.
Yes.
See how I just went past the wheel alignment? I'm like, yeah, wheel alignment.
But no,
Wedding.
because I have to go to Dubbo on Monday, so I have to have a wheel alignment done before I go.
Oh yes, fantastic wheel alignments.
Yeah.
Okay, my dear. Well, thank you very much, and you have a wonderful weekend wheel aligning. And if I don't, I'll speak to you on Facebook. But I want you to have the most fabulous wedding of the year. And I think everyone here is going to be looking at to see if they're friends with you, which I know a lot of people here are. I'm just going to also say that Christine is a moderator for Designer Therapy, because we've got lots of designers on here that sit here and have a look at us, gaggle on, and have a glass of wine. So have a look out. We're going to be looking out for those wedding pictures. So
I will definitely be sharing them with the group.
Have a great day.
You too. Good talk to you. Bye.
You too. See you, Christine. Bye.